What's up, guys? It is I, TheAshenHunter, back here again with a deck profile from a Mr. Chris Chalk. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, my name's Chris. Been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a few years. Casual, did a little bit of streaming. Just giving Ace my deck list.
And what did you play for the event, good sir?
So for the event, I piloted Brave Prankids, or I think Adventurer Prankids. Deck's nuts. Deck is nuts.
Alright, let's hop on in and see what you played.
All right, so we'll start off with the main deck. There is a little bit of mismatch of sleeves, just because I've been testing some stuff out.
That's fair.
So, real quick, we'll also go over the Prankid engine. Free, 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 and two. So two is seen as standard. Every couple weeks I go back and forth between playing a third. It's the worst one to open on its own because obviously it needs to banish a card. So if you top deck it and don't have another card, it doesn't do anything. But sometimes you just want to see a prank kit. But at the moment, people are half and half. It seems to be on maining Lancia, and obviously because of the Brave engine or the Adventure engine. So obviously into Lancia, Roxas is even worse than it already is. So two is the general consensus is correct. Two is correct, but I think there is space for three. In terms of Adventure Engine, just 3 and 1. Not really much to say here. It's pretty standard. It's not a pile deck, so we're not playing two Griffin or anything. Then in terms of monsters, we're on to hand traps. So we've got the free Ash, most generic, hits everything kind of well. Free Ogre. This card is insane, overperformed whenever I saw it. It hits the Fateful Adventure really well, and even without Fateful Adventure, sometimes like ogring a like Taunt Scales that just got brought back, so therefore it gets banished. That can be quite kind of big. Ogre, it hits a lot of decks in the format at the moment, and it can also hit pranks, which can be pretty big.
It's staple at this
Uh,
point.
yeah, it's literally a staple at this point. Then a little bit of wacky ratios here. We played two Bell. The reason for this is there's a third hand trap, which we'll come to in a moment, that I wanted to play. So I took one Bell out and put in two of these, putting my deck count up to 47. Bell stops the Enchantress, because obviously Enchantress can add back from
Yeah.
grave. It stops the Prank Kids monsters, because they add back from grave. Bell on Doodle Doo is just game ending if they don't have the Griffin. And then you're just trading for the Griffin, which means you can play into the board a little bit easier. And it just there is, stops Kagari adding back engage, and stops a load of stuff in the PK matchup. So Bell is pretty good. Didn't want to cut it, so I put it down to 2. And then a card that when I drew it did very well, didn't see it that often, was Ghost Mourner.
I saw
So
you
Ghost
talking
Mourner,
about this.
yeah. So Ghost Mourner was a idea that me and a friend, Joseph Ray, thought up of the night before. I wasn't really certain on my list. I was like, I'm ignoring a lot of things. So we were talking about it the night before, and obviously he had just gone through his staples box and he picked out Mourner. So you might be thinking, what's Mourner for? Well, we were just really scared of Scythe, right? We can play into a board pretty easily if we open like, one or two hand traps, or like, hand trap plus droplets and our engine. But there's no amount of board breakers or combo pieces we can draw that will play through Scythe. So the idea was we need to stop Scythe as much as possible and as consistently as possible. So Mourner is a card that you can top deck that will stop Scythe in your own turn. Because Mourner says when your opponent special summons a monster/monsters, you can discard it, target one of those special summon monsters, and negate its effects. So obviously when they bring the Scythe back and use this effect, we can chain Mourner to target it. Obviously this is assuming that we've had some way to stop the Griffin. You are going to play through a Scythe or to stop a Scythe, you are going to need 2 outs. But it's just another out that works. There's a little bit of bonus when the monster that you negate goes to the grave. If it's the same turn, they burn for the amount. Not fully irrelevant. Never came up though. But yeah, like Mourner, when I saw it, was really good. I think it's not Veiler, because Veiler's only during the opponent's turn, so you can't Veiler a Scythe. And Imperm, you can't draw Imperm like off pranks. That was another idea of like the heavier monster hand trap lineup with there's no imps or anything, because I wanted to maximize on cards that I could draw going second as well as going first, and drawing into pranks.
Okay.
So
I like the sound of Mono. I might give that a shot at some point. Maybe for Preston Regional if I like when I do that.
Yeah, I'd recommend at least thinking about it. I think it's a card that needs to be thought
Oh
about.
yeah.
Considering I bought it like 2 years ago, and this is the first time I've ever touched the card physically, it feels good. Then onto spells, obviously free place 1 terraforming. I've seen some people cutting this down to 2. I just want as many stars as possible. Terraforming comes out game 2 and 3, regardless of what I'm playing against, just because of Droll. Droll's really big this format because of the adventure engine. 2 Pando, 1 Pranks. This has been cut down to 2 from 3. It's not like unlike old lists where you'd be playing like sort of 3 Pando, 3 Poly, or 3 Pando, 2 Poly, kind of stuff like that. We're now just sort of wanting to maximize drawing like right plus kids.
Okay.
And if you draw a Pando, like with nothing else, obviously it's a brick. So we just sort of, you can't play 1. I've seen some people play even 1. You can't play 1 because game 2 and 3, if this gets cosmiced and you don't have the Griffin, like you've lost the game because you now can't fusion summon.
Might as well pick up your cards and scoop.
Yeah, like you're locked out of fusion summoning by anything bar like Verte, and so like that's just a big neg. In terms of the Brave engine, we've got the triple right and the 2 soft bricks. Obviously, you can draw these. This is the one you like out of all the bricks in the deck. This Griffin, the Equip spell Dracoback is the one you do not want to draw because it's the one that's chain blocking your first Prankid, and that's literally like the core reason for the engine. And then Foolish for Enchantress. That's what I
Yeah.
play with it. There are some situations I've never got into them, but you can Foolish a Prankid, and then Thunder Dragon Fusion it because I'm playing Thunder Dragon Fusion. Never come up, but it's a thing. It could happen.
Yeah.
Uh, in terms of non-engine, we've got Free Foolish. Sorry, Free Foolish, Free Forbidden Cyclone. So this, I was umming and ahhing about this either being Cosmics or Talents. This is just a scythe out. Talents is an out scythe. That's the whole reason why I'm playing this and not Talents. This out scythe, Talents doesn't. And droplets is basically mandatory. Unfortunately, everyone, if you want to play competitively, you're going to need droplets, or you're going to be feeling a bit bad.
Oh yeah, droplets is another expensive staple of this format.
Yeah, it's really insane. You can't like. There's no. Some people might say, "Oh, just play Chalice." Chalice does not do the same thing. It's insane. And then for the free one-offs, we've got Thunder Dragon Fusion, Called By, and Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion, insane card. Whenever I drew it, I literally, if I drew it and could play, dropless the board or something, this won me the game. It's actually insanely broken. This bring back Rocket Ride bring back 2 Link 2s, go into access code. You just need 1 more Link 2 and that's game.
Yeah.
Called By, just, combo, harder, scythe out, because, you can target the scythe. And Flying Dragon Fusion, so I'm not playing the Fusion Destiny, like, DP package, because I think in, like, the 47 cards, 46 cards is, like, the generally correct amount people have decided on. I think playing the DP engine, the amount it helps the end board isn't, like, good enough to justify, like, the extra cards you just don't want to draw. And plus, making Verte in this list, like, without souls or anything, is just super hard to do, so I just wouldn't do it.
There's
Uh, so we'll move on to the extra deck now. It's pretty standard. Like, there's a few things that I've chosen myself that some people don't. So Meow Meow, Wishes was at 3 again. Card's broken. I'm playing Free Doodle. Some people are playing 2. It is like one of the first cards that would get cut for something else, the third Doodle. But sometimes it comes up in a grind game. I'm playing 2 Bow Wow. Everyone is basically just playing 1, but the second one has come up multiple times at locals, Keck W locals. It has come up in locals against stuff like at Ignista, like where you've got no real out to a 6k the rival Cyburst.
yeah.
So the out is just looping Lampsies, Dropsies, and Bow Wow,
To be
and
fair,
Pando, and Rough
Prankids
Washer.
has always had a good grind game as well.
Yeah, like you can obviously you can put this back, but you can't put it back the turn you use it. So like you'll be going into your turn without a Bow Wow bark, and that's where the second comes up. Plus, if they call by the first one, you miss the second one,
Yeah.
and like the extra is just a lot more open without like free Meow Meow. In terms of fusions, 1 Rocket, 1 Weather, double Butler. Double Butler's pretty standard now, and it's basically required if you play Thunder Dragon Fusion. And the two fusions, one of each, is pretty standard. Like Rocket Ride is the one you go into the least. Like I don't think I've ever made this with Pandemonium, like in my own turn. It's basically just an instant fusion target, but like it comes up sometimes. Then in terms of like the non-engine like extra deck, you've got Link Spider to turn tokens to make Verte. You've got obviously Verte for Thunder Dragon Fusion. Actually insane. Unicorn just for splitting stuff back and making access code a bit bigger. I used to play this without this. Like I had it, then sold it, then bought it again. Like this card just is insane in this deck. It's so free. And then Starving Venom. This used to be a Phoenix, but obviously, as you can tell, I've put Super Poly on the side, so I had to have the target. So Phoenix was the first card to get cut.
And Sun Venom's a pretty good one with PK and Dragon Link, for example.
Yeah, like PK realistically isn't that big a threat, I don't think. Like I didn't really give it much respect beyond like Super Polys and Drolls, because if you just stop Scythe, like the deck just sort of crumbles. The deck doesn't really have like if you can stop the DP Scythe, like the deck doesn't really do much.
Okay.
So in terms of side deck, obviously side deck is up to the event, is up to medicals. So these are what my medicals were for the event. So Droll, good against obviously any deck that draws or adds a lot, but particularly good at the moment because of the adventure engine. Because the adventure engine will add the equip spell normally first, so they can discard it for the monster search. And if they do that, draw them. They don't get the monster search, and they don't get any in-engine searches. Similarly, if they activate Enchantress first, you draw that. They don't get anything. It's
Yeah.
actually insane. Not main deck worthy, but definitely worth siding.
Oh yeah.
Then we've got the free Super Poly, pretty standard. Mirror Match, it's actually like I didn't play any mirrors, but Mirror Match theoretically broken card. Good against PK.
Yeah.
Not good against the pot. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say I don't even think there was that many prank kids.
No, there wasn't a huge amount. I didn't see a lot of them. But yeah, like it doesn't deal with the pile decks, and I was really worried about pile decks going into the event, and I didn't play any. I think I played one, and it was Pile Eldritch. So it just wasn't like that good. I drew Mono against him. Mono did Verte. I was like, oh no, he's gonna make a second. And he didn't. Then free Twin Twisters. So these used to be Cosmics when I had TT in the main. But because Cosmic is now in the main, I put Twin Twisters in the sides and decided this isn't going in against the PK stuff like it used to, like when it was Cosmic. It's just going against back row and the mirror, because if you twin or Cosmic in the mirror, it's huge. Like getting rid of Pandemonium and not having to worry about Battle Butler is the key thing against Prankids. So you just need to be able to deal with that. And then for a couple of traps, we got Evenly. Obviously, with the Adventure Engine, Evenly is even more insane than it used to be because they have to keep the token. So that means if you go into PK and you evenly them, they basically are forced to DP pop itself and the token, so that they actually keep something on board, like a Fog Blade.
Yeah.
I don't actually side this in against PK. I side just the Super Polys and the Drolls because that's usually enough with like all my hand traps and stuff like that. And then the last card on my side is Free Judgment. Basically, like going first, like you just need this because you need another way. You just need more cards that stop losing to Twin and Cosmic. You just need to get to the main phase. As soon as you're in the main phase, you're probably going to win the game going first, but you have to get there with your Pandemonium intact. So this plus Griffin usually will win the game. But yeah, that's the list.
Any changes you would make?
So there's a few changes I've got to experiment with at the moment. Don't really want to, as cringe as it sounds, don't really want to say anything yet because I do want to.
Spoilers.
I think it's a bit spice. It's probably gonna be absolute garbage. I've got a couple of remote locals and an OTS championship, which I'm probably gonna play it for, see how it does. But in terms of changes, the list. It's been a while since I've played a Yu-Gi-Oh event and been so confident in a list, like after the event, like so happy with it, and so just like, what's the word? Like, just the list was
Satisfied.
just good. Yeah, satisfied. Thank you. That was what I was looking for. So satisfied with the list. There's nothing I would change. Like, seeing more would have been nice, but like, there's no way to fit it in. The list like has the flex spots it has. I filled with cards that I thought were good for the meta, and honestly, I think I'm just really happy with the list. No changes to be made. Like maybe they're testing with different builds, but in terms of this build, I'm super happy with it.
Do you want to give us a quick tournament rundown?
Yeah. So round one, I played a guy so Leeds is my old locals. I went to uni there, so I played a local. He was playing Charmers. Don't need to say anything. Round two was my only loss. PK. I won game one. No, I lost game one because he went first. Game two, I won because I went first. Dice roll, by the way.
Of course.
Um, and then game three, I had the Super Poly, and I think I had the Brave Engine, but I had no Prankid. There is a 87, I think it's 86.80 or something, percent chance to open at least one kid in your 5 cards.
Very
So
specific.
yeah, not seeing one is very unlikely, and that's what happened. Round three was what was round three? Round three was the 60 card pile Eldritch. Stopped Verte. Yeah. Game one, he drew his only Eldritch, 1 in 60. But yeah, not really much to say about that. Round four was a friend of ours, Matthew Chen. Game one, I ogres Moye, he passed, won the game. Game two, he set up board, I lost. Game three, he just didn't draw it. He just didn't draw any interaction. Round five was a guy I played at the last Leeds Regional, Living Realms, playing pure. No, sorry, not pure. Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk. I assumed it was pure when we first started because who's playing Lyrilusk cards anymore? Game one, I actually opened pretty well, but made a misjudgment. I forbidden droplets Appaloosa when he ogred my Fateful Adventure because I was in the mindset of, well, I'll drop this as Fateful because I'm not getting anything out of it anyway, and I've got Morna for when he summons his Shurag off his Revolt. What I didn't account for was his last set being called by. So Morna got called by, my Prankid got banished, and I lost. And then game two and three, I just played better. Round six was against a guy from Team Shift. Really good player. We had a pretty close game. It did come down to time. He was playing Sky Striker. Prankids versus Sky Striker is just a long matchup because it can get pretty grindy. Sky Striker is good at stopping you. Prankids is good at grinding. So it
Oh
came down
yeah.
to time, and Prankids did Prankids things. Then round seven, I definitely could have won this match. I definitely could have won the match, gone XO1. Oh, sorry, no, X1. And I think there were no other X1s. I think. Oh no, there was one. There was one X1.
Yeah.
The guy I lost to. So if I had won that, I'd have come second. He'd have come first. Assuming. So game one, he built a board. He sets 5 past. Eldritch Trap plus TT plus Strike will out any board. So I lost all my resources. I did have backup, but because obviously I hadn't put Meow Meow back from pranks in that matchup because I wasn't sure if he was playing. I assumed being on table 7 he was playing some kind of DPE engine, the gadgets or all the side versus 1 card starters, and he just wasn't. So I didn't put Meow Meow back, assuming I might need double Butler. So made a Weather Washer, made 2 Link 2s, and then lost. It went on for a little bit. I was grinding. I was getting there. It came down to he set a card. I cosmicked it. I had a cosmic set the entire game, by the way, because nothing had forced it, and there was no target for. I wasn't going to do it blind because of floodgates. It just came down to he set a card. I cosmicked it, and then I forgot he had Sanguine Engrave, so he just used Sanguine, banish, send Overlord, swing.
Big
So
grip.
it's like, yeah. Game two, I played really carefully. He did the same thing again. I set up a board. He set 5 pass. So I played it a lot more carefully, a lot more cautious into stuff like TT. So it took me longer to kill him, and by the time we were insiding, there was a minute 30 seconds left. Like no, like 30 seconds left. So by the time I'd actually like gone through my deck and taken out my side cards, the timer got called and it was a draw. So like I definitely probably could have won that if I played game two a little faster. Not like my plays. Hashtag slow playing Prankids. Just if I just like attacked with bigger things, like there was one point like I had people sat by me, like I put an adventure token in defense, but that's purely because I watched him set TT off of Trap Trick last turn. So I was like, well, it doesn't matter what position I summon this token in. It's just there to get TT off the board, so I can normal summon a Prankid. But I think I could have definitely won game two a lot faster.
And that sounded a lot longer than my last round.
Yeah, the TheAshenHunter out here knocking out locals. It is what it is. Yeah, that was my time. Mostly meta, like a couple rogue picks, but mostly meta.
There's a lot of Eldritch at the event.
Hey, monkey see, monkey do, man.
I actually played Invoked Eldritch second to last round as well, and that was grindy as fuck.
Wild.
Anyway, finally, do you want to give any shout outs?
So obviously shout out to Geek Retreat Leeds. Geek Retreats get a bad name because a lot of them are not greatly ran, but Geek Retreat Leeds is one of the best Geek Retreats in the country.
Yeah,
and,
I second that.
You know, don't assume anything by just hearing the name Geek Retreat. Geek Retreat Leeds is the owner's really passionate about it. The locals are all cool. Like I went there for uni, miss the guys. Shout out to Joseph Ray, obviously, as I said earlier. I convinced him to play this deck. He wasn't sure on Invoked because of Brave Engine, so he swapped to Prankids the week before, and like we talked about a list the night before as he came up with Morna. And yeah, big shout out to Joe Ray. Big shout out to just my current locals, Mana Screw down in Northampton. Honestly, 40-person locals pretty consistently, and they all play meta and decently well.
That's why it's
So
good locals.
It's really good testing, and yeah, shout out to Carl, Luke, and Adam. Just testing circle, really. But
awesome. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on, Mr. Chris. Chris also has a channel and Twitter page, so if you want to follow those, they're going to be in the description of this video. Anyway, that wraps up this profile. I'm TheAshenHunter. He's TheRedFlash. Signing out.